I've been studying this stuff for 15 years, still fall into it where I'm in that pattern of focusing on what I don't want. Well, why is that the case? Because it's way easier to look at a result in your life as it is today, because you can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it right now. Your senses tell you this is reality.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if I keep focusing on what is right now in my life, then nothing changes in my future. It doesn't matter where you are right now. It matters where you're going. But if my focus is on what I don't have, what's missing, what's wrong, then I keep recreating more of the same. So that's a major challenge I see virtually everybody runs into, and even at different degrees, right?
Sure.
I'm talking, people starting out their business life, young entrepreneurs, to people. One of the ladies I coach, she's a super successful executive, multiple six figures. Guess what? Same challenge at a different level.
Hey, this is a quick shout out from one of our awesome sponsors. Check this out. Thank you to Tracy down at Tranquil Turtle Massage in downtown Coeur D'Alene. Look, my wife and I, we see Tracy and her team every single month for a couples massage, and it is the best thing. Tracy is a master massage specialist and a Hanu Ashiatsu trainer. You need to reach out to Tracy and her team. Make sure that you tell them that I sent you, and you'll get $25 off your next massage. Also, while you're there, check out CDA Brows, Body, and Ink. Make sure to tell Tracy that I sent you, and you'll save $100 on your next tattoo, brows, and plasma tightening services.
Ben, you're a husband, you're a father, entrepreneur, speaker, you're a coach, you're a host of a podcast called The Pursuit, and so much more, man. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Erik, great to be here, man. I'm looking forward to today.
Man, it was such a great conversation that I had on your podcast. I'm so excited to have you back here. I love to kick things off by going back a bit. Like, where did you grow up, and what was childhood like for you, man?
Yeah, for sure. I grew up in Northwest BC, Terrace, British Columbia.
Okay.
And that was from about the age, little bit before, an even smaller place right on the US-Canadian border of about 500, but then moved to Terrace when I was 5. So that's where I grew up. And growing up for me was, like all of us, a shaping experience. And I think I had a decent childhood for sure, nothing too crazy. And then as I progressed in my life, my mom and dad were both very functional alcoholics, and so most of the time growing up, the majority of the nights of the week, they were fairly loaded. And then, and that's just how it was, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just, I remember lots of times putting my mom to bed drunk when I was probably 12, 13, 14, just like, she'd be in our sunroom that we had and having her walk in her bed, and they were not good together, at all. So there was lots of that. But growing up, I was a skinny guy, super skinny guy, redhead guy when it wasn't cool. And I didn't have a lot of confidence. I didn't have a lot of, really self-esteem or anything. So I wasn't athletic. I wasn't any of that stuff. So growing up for me was fine. It wasn't terrible by any means, but it led to me being in a place in my life that I didn't think a lot of myself.
Sure.
And, but that was a bit about me growing up,
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up listening to like Tony Robbins on cassettes and stuff like that. It motivated me and inspired me to kind of go down this entrepreneur path, though I stepped off the path for a really long time, and came back. But for you, like growing up, like who was it that you listened to or motivated you to go down this entrepreneur path? And like you said, you kind of lacked confidence. How did you gain that confidence back?
I mean, I felt really lucky that when I was 21, I got introduced to business.
Okay.
And I got recruited into a financial firm and found some great mentors, guys that were at that point, they were in their mid 20s making, $300,000 and $400,000 a year. And which at that point in my life, I thought, man, that's like billions,
Sure.
And they taught me, specifically one guy, he said, if you want to change your life, then you're going to have to change yourself. And he talked about how he read a book a week, and I wasn't reading anything in my life. I was not listening to audios. I wasn't doing anything, but I thought, okay, here's this guy. He's 26. I was 21. And he said, I should probably start reading. So I picked up my first copy of Think and Grow Rich. That was the very first, mindset book, business book I ever read. And I start reading in there, this idea, thoughts become things. And, you can create from the inside, all these ideas. And I got so hooked. So then I started watching YouTubes everywhere. That led me later into Brian Tracy stuff, later into Tony Robbins, then later into more spiritual stuff with Wayne Dyer and Deepak. And I was obsessed, man. The next 2-3 years of my life was build my business, personal development, build my business, reading, audios, you name it. 3 years later, I end up at my very first seminar in person with T. Harv Eker, the Millionaire Mind Intensive. And lots of stuff happened there, but my world started to change. So that was my introduction into getting into this stuff.
Man, what a cool journey. Like even as most entrepreneurs, there's months where we eat like kings and months that we eat top ramen. You've had your ups and downs and even like you were growing your business and then it kind of plateaued there for a bit there.
Yeah.
how did you keep going though through the rough times when you're like, man, is this thing going to work out? Like, how did you get through those times?
Yeah, I was, I remember I was just on the phone with a friend of mine as I was driving home for this actually, but I was telling her as she was going through some tough times, but I remember being 2 years into my business and literally all my credit cards had just gotten a collection. So collectors are calling every day. I had I was 4 or 5 months behind rent on the guy that I lived with. So that was a very awkward exchange every day. I just got an email notice that I was getting evicted from my office because I had not paid rent there too. And I was struggling, man. I mean, it's not like I was avoiding people because I didn't want to pay them. I was struggling.
Yeah.
And I remember getting to a point, the lowest point in my life. It was November, I want to say 2009. Yeah, I think 2009. And I had no money for food, like zero money. And in our business, in the insurance business, there's what's called a chargeback. So it's where you do a policy and you get paid, but then if they cancel it, they charge back the commission. So not only did I have no money, but any future money I was about to get paid was not coming to me because of this chargeback. So I called my aunt, and my Aunt Christine was like a second mom to my brother and I growing up. And they weren't wealthy, but they were the only people in our family that had any money. And I'd never borrowed money from my life, ever. And I called her and I started explaining my situation. I just started bawling, so embarrassed with myself. But I told her I didn't have money for food. She sent me $500 for food.
Wow.
And I remember getting off the phone and, being in the room that I was renting in this guy's condo, continuing to cry, so friggin' embarrassed with myself, and say, that is never going to happen again. And so for me, it was such a low point that it was that turning point for me.
Yeah.
Where I said, enough's enough. I'm going to start to change. And that next year, man, I mean, it wasn't a thriving year, but it was enough to get by. So, to answer your question, what kept me going? I mean, before that moment of where that total decision, I just thought this has to work eventually. You know what? All the stories I read, all the biographies, it's like struggle. They made it. That's going to be me.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Those moments where people step in and can, fund you for whatever you happen to have or at your lowest point, man. I remember there was a time when I first was married, we had bought our first house. My mortgage was like $2,400 a month, man. And just barely scraping by. And I remember there was a month where I couldn't pay the mortgage and I was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to afford this mortgage. And I was talking to my dad and I had one of those moments where I was just breaking down. I was like, man, Dad, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, and he goes, well, can I just slide you this month's mortgage? And I just was like, what? Like he just put it in my bank, and that was a life-changing moment. And I had one of those, like, I'm never going to do that again, type moments, man. Oh, so good, dude. You talk about your inner world creates your outer world. Can you deep dive into that a bit, man?
I would love to. Yeah, that's my jam for sure.
Come on.
When you think about your life and you think about how all the results that you have in your life, everything is a result. So whether it's the relationships we have, the body that we have, the health and fitness, the money we have, the business we have, et cetera, all of these things are results. And we all want to upgrade our results. No matter how good things are going, even if it's going great, we all want to be better, right? So we want better results. We want to make more money. We want to have better relationships. We want to, if you're already fit, you want to be able to challenge lift a little bit more, right? Run a little faster. I mean, I think that's part of the human condition, if you will, right? And but this idea of that the inner world creates the outer world is that 95% of who we are, so the way that we think, the way that we feel, and the way that we act, and what we attract, but 95% of who we are is unconscious. By the time you're 35, 95% of who you are is an unconscious set of programs in this great subconscious mind on the inside. You can't see the subconscious mind, but it's in every part of you. Right. In the subconscious mind, if you think about it, the subconscious mind is in the body. How do we know? Because the body runs without you or I. We don't have to think about how to pump blood through our body, how to filter something through the kidney or liver, anything like that. So, but the subconscious mind runs that, but it also runs all this other stuff. It also runs our behaviors. It also runs our habits. It also runs our belief systems. And so because 95% of it's unconscious on the inside, then the majority of our life we are creating without intent. We're making it happen without realizing. This is why change is so hard for people. Most people say, man, you want to make more money? Yeah, I want to make more money. But they're struggling to do so. Why? Because on the inside, they don't have the right program. And that comes from a lot from us growing up, from about 0 to 7 is where the majority of our programming began. And most of us didn't grow up in super successful, great relationships, great health. I mean, some people have elements of these.
Yeah.
Right. But that's where the majority of that programming is. So now you're 35, you're 45, you're 55, you're 65, and you're still running up into the same problem. Well, it's not because life is out to get you. It's not because, it's just what happened. No,
right.
It's because the program's wrong. Right? Like we understand in business, if I wanted to make more money in business, there's specific things, whatever business you're in, there's certain things that if you did more of those things, you would make more money.
Yep.
Getting in better shape, right? Is there any secret? No one's wondering, man, what the hell do I do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're not wondering, but then it's the program. Why? The question is, why am I not doing what I know? And that comes from within. So when we can learn that we can, and the beauty of the subconscious mind is it's completely programmable. It's been programmed, but you can rewrite the code, if you will. Yeah. And when we learn to rewrite the code and we can change on the inside, now we get lasting results on the outside.
Man, come on, dude. That was so good, dude. And it's so, I love when, having those conversations and learning more about the subconscious and we can make those changes. I know I have, I know that I've lacked in making those changes when I needed to as well. And I love that you're just so passionate about helping people unlock those secrets of their mind and you learn, how to use it to get anything and everything they desire. Right. When you're working with folks, what is it that you see them struggle with the most? And then what's the journey you take them on to get them through those struggles?
Great question. I think that virtually everybody, a major missing piece in their life is super vague clarity. In other words, you tell you, what do you want? I mean, I just don't want to struggle anymore. Or like, I don't know. I don't want to be broke anymore. I don't want to be. And so because we're lacking clarity, often what people are so focused on in their lives is there's two parts to this. One is they actually don't even really know what they really want. But number two, often when we're trying to figure out what is it that you do want, they're so focused on what they don't want. And you have to keep in mind is that the body follows the mind, right? The subconscious is always listening. And so it's always listening to instructions, except that the interesting thing is it doesn't listen to don't or not. A prime example, if I say, Erik, listen, whatever you do, brother, don't think of a pink elephant. Well, guess what? I mean, you've got a pink elephant in your mind right now.
Totally.
Because the subconscious mind's not hearing that. It's just hearing pink elephant. So it's not hearing, I don't want to be broke. It's just hearing broke. Okay, broke. Yeah, let's figure out how we can maintain being broke. So one thing is they're so focused on, I find, and I fall into this a lot still in my life. I've been studying this stuff for 15 years, still fall into it where I'm in that pattern of focusing on what I don't want. Well, why is that the case? Because it's way easier to look at a result in your life as it is today because you can see it. You can hear it. You can feel it right now. Your senses tell you this is reality.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if I keep focusing on what is right now in my life, then nothing changes in my future. It doesn't matter where you are right now. It matters where you're going. But if my focus is on what I don't have, what's missing, what's wrong, then I keep recreating more of the same. So that's a major challenge I see virtually everybody runs into, and even at different degrees. Right. Sure. I'm talking, people starting out their business life, young entrepreneurs, to people. One of the ladies I coach, she's a super successful executive, multiple 6 figures. Guess what? Same challenge at a different level, right? The next step. Yeah. Man. So that's a major challenge.
Yeah. Through your journey of life in business and entrepreneurship, what would you say is the most important thing that you've learned?
I think the most important thing I've learned is that you can learn what you need to learn.
Yeah.
You can grow into who you need to become. Right? Because a lot of time we think that, it's different for Erik. It's different for whoever. I mean, I think a lot of people you've had on your show, I mean, these are some big names. It's different for them because.
Yeah.
No, I mean, what I've learned is that you can learn almost anything. You can get the skills, you can get the knowledge. So whatever it is, the business, whatever entrepreneurial journey you're on, you may not have what you need right now, but you can get it.
Yeah. Come on. I love that. So good, dude. So good. I want to talk about, you've got this free 10-day meditation challenge available. Like how can folks get on this? What can they expect out of this challenge?
Yeah, for sure. So we started out originally, it was a 10-day. After doing some trials, we ran a bunch of people through it. We changed into a 7-day meditation challenge. I'm big on meditation. The reason why I love meditation is for many reasons. There's tons of health benefits, like what it does for your nervous system, to blood pressure. I mean, there's so many amazing health benefits. The reason why I love it, though, personally, is because that idea of that subconscious mind, one of the greatest ways to reprogram the subconscious mind is through meditation, prayer, these kind of things, because we start to repeatedly drop new ideas into it. So I like to use meditation as a way to guide my mind into seeing the future that I desire. So this whole 7-day meditation challenge, many people, especially in the space we're in today, I mean, meditation, tons of guys are using it. I mean, so many people use it in their lives, right? Business people, athletes. I mean, it used to be, it's like a woo-woo thing. It's not woo-woo at all. I mean,
totally.
So anyways, so the 7-day challenge is designed to help you start learning how to build meditation into your life. So it's 7 days. Right. And I think anybody can do anything for 7 days. What I did was I created a 10-minute guided meditation that takes you through a process of relaxing your mind, relaxing your body. We're going to take you through a process of visualizing your future, seeing your goals the way you want them to be, rather than focusing on what is. Takes you through a process of seeing your day go the way that you want to. And it's 10 minutes, right? I mean, you can't tell me you don't have time for 10 minutes, right? We all have 10 minutes, same thing, 7 days. And it's to help people start showing themselves that, yes, I can. So many people say, I can't meditate. Yes, you can. You just need practice. Yeah. Right. And then every day I give them a 2 or 3 minute video that advances their understanding of the what and the why of what we're doing.
Yeah. Gotcha. Come on. That's awesome, dude. I was reading through your blog recently and you released a blog post that really resonated with me, but you said, do you really want to change your life? Now, this is filled with such great information, man. And for those who haven't seen this post yet, can you deep dive into what that post entails there?
You may have to give me a refresher on that part of it. But
That's awesome. That's awesome. We'll cut that part out. That's awesome. I love that, dude. I always do that as well. That's so funny. But like, I'll jump into the next question. So
sounds great.
I want to chat about your podcast though. This is called The Pursuit. I think if I read right, you started this in 2020. You've interviewed some amazing people. As a podcaster, I always love to ask the question, like, why did you decide to start a podcast and how has it helped you in your business? Because it's so beneficial.
Yeah. I've loved the chats we've had about podcasts as well. And so in 2020, it was the spring of 2020. And I saw some friends of mine that I had known in the same business. They started a podcast primarily for that business. And I thought, man, they start one. Maybe I could start one. It's just, maybe I could. And that was the end of that thought. 6 months later, a good friend of mine, she reaches out to me, text message. She goes, hey, have you ever thought of doing a YouTube channel or a podcast? And I go, yeah, I thought of it, but I think it's too much work. I don't think I'm going to do it. She goes, I think you should. I mean, I would listen. I know lots of people that would listen. I think you got lots of value. Yeah. Goes, that's kind of interesting. So 3 months later, so you know what? She messaged me again. Encourages me again. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I buy my Blue Yeti microphone. That was my first microphone, and get my little setup right. And sits on the shelf for another 3 months, and then don't do anything with it. And then one day I'm sitting at home, and I just thought, man, screw it, I'm going to do this. And I went and recorded my first episode. I got, I learned, okay, I got to get a host. I learned all that stuff. So, and I got it out there, and then that's how it started.
Right.
Podcasts, though, I mean, you know this as well as I do. And for anyone thinking about it, I think it's such an amazing platform. The relationships and connections that you get to, I didn't realize when I started, I thought it was going to help me. I get the message out to people. I get to, I did think I'd meet new people, but I didn't realize the connections that I was going to make, the knowledge I was going to gain from so many of these guests. And again, these quality relationships, but it also helps you elevate your brand, right? It also helps whatever the podcast is about, whatever that space is, it also helps you, it kind of puts you into that space of more recognized as, an expert or someone that's influential in that space. Yeah. So I can't say enough good things about it. And I love what you're doing now, where you've actually got like a course that people can go through. I mean, I didn't do that in the beginning. That would have helped me so much in the beginning. Saved me a bunch of time.
It would help me a lot too. I thought, man, there's got to be people that probably want to understand how to do this. So yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah. But I mean, it is, man, podcasting opens up so many doors of opportunities and relationships. And I'm not sure, but like how you connect with him, but you got invited to go down to David Meltzer's office hours in Vegas. Did you connect with him through your podcast or Inner Circle there? How'd that go?
Great question. I'm big on the law of attraction, right? Big
Yeah.
on these cool synchronicities and events that happen. So I'm in a coaching program in 2017. I meet this guy, joined this coaching program. Several years go on. It was a great program. Several years go on. And then he left that organization and started a separate one. And this takes us up to last year, summer last year. He reaches out to me, lets me know what he's doing. Says, I got this mastermind program I'm doing with this other guy. Here's what we're going to do. It's this, this, and this. We're going to bring people together. And he goes, it's 15,000. I think you'd be a good fit. And I'd never spent that much on a mastermind. But I said, you know what? Let's do it. Right. And then I get in the program, and the program was good. It was good. I thought to myself, man, I could do something like this. Like I could literally create a program like this. Right.
Yeah.
So then I meet a guy in the program. He's in the UK. We start becoming buddies. We start connecting every day. We're doing a bit of studying of the same material every day. And he keeps bringing up David Meltzer. He brings up David Meltzer several times, and I knew the name, but I wasn't super familiar with him. And so then I asked him about him. He goes, oh yeah. He tells me about him. I said, hey, do you think you can introduce me so I can get him on the podcast? That's how it started, right? I want to get him on the podcast. So I get on a phone call with Dave, have a chat with him. Turns out, he's literally mentors people how to get into the speaking arena, which is more of what I was doing as well. So I end up hiring him as a coach. And then to speed up the story, I'm on his Instagram live with him. So he's interviewing me on it. We're doing that. I call him an hour later to thank him.
Yeah.
This is amazing how this idea of asking, you never know if you ask, or even so I call him to thank him. He was in Vegas for office hour. That's all I knew. And I wanted to spend time with him one-on-one. So I said, Dave, thank you for having me on today. I said, listen, if I can't get any flights today, but if I flew tomorrow, could I spend some time with you? He goes, honestly, I don't know. The schedule's packed. We're filming this. He goes, you know what? But I'll get you in touch with my assistant, talk to him. Maybe we could even get you on the show. Really? So I end up talking to his assistant, and he tells me about the whole deal that's going on there and everything. And there's one spot left for an interviewer to be on the show. And so that's how it all happened.
Man, dude, that manifestation story, it's so true and so real, dude. I mean, 2021, I was on a mission to be a guest on 100 podcasts, right? And I ended up doing 117. But part of that journey, I had Brad Lee on my podcast, and I was doing this follow-up sort of call with him. And I just threw an Instagram DM, and I was like, hey, Brad, hope you're doing good, man. I'm doing this journey and doing 100 podcasts. And it didn't really say anything to him, but I love to stay in contact with some of my guests, right? And next thing I know, he responds to me and goes, dude, come on the Dropping Bomb show. And I was like, what? Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Like, be here on this day. I immediately booked my flight. I mean, I flew to Vegas, got in town to Vegas at like 11:30 at night, stayed at the hotel. We recorded at 10 a.m. the next morning, and I flew home. It was I was like, I'm not missing this opportunity, man. I'm going to put it on the card and just do it. I love that, man, that you got to go down and meet David Meltzer. I've never met him in person. Talked to him a few times on the call. What a great guy, man.
Yeah.
Amazing story. I know we're coming up to the end of our time here. I'd love to ask a question like, what's your message to the world, man?
Yeah. My big thing is that I really believe in my heart of hearts that you can create and live a life you love. That's my big message. So everything I'm doing today, the seminars I'm doing, the coaching that I do, the group coach, all of it, the podcast, it's all designed. I want to help people understand that you can really create a life you really love. So many people fall into this idea that life's happening to them, and it's just, you just got to deal with what is. And then, one day you're going to die. And it's so not that way. I mean, we don't get to control what happens in life, but there is a lot that we can influence, right? And we can definitely start to shape our reality in a different way. We can start to create things in such a different way. You want it, is that home that you wanted, you can have it. The business you wanted to start, you can have it. And the people, what I've noticed, bro, and I know you know it too, but the people that live the lives that so many of us want, when we say, I want that, I'd love to have that. You know what's different between them and 99.9% of the population is they just went for it.
Yeah. Come on.
They just stepped out and they do it. They didn't know how. They didn't have all the answers, but they went and did it. And so that's my message. Whatever you want, man, you can have it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, so good. I love to finish my question with a fun question. I'm a big music guy, so I love to ask the question, like, what type of music do you like? Is there a favorite band that you like to listen to?
So I grew up in my young years. It was all death metal. That's what I was into when I was really young.
Me too.
Right. So, oh yeah, that's awesome. And then as I've gotten older, I like a lot, man. I've really gotten into country recently. Big fan of Kane Brown right now. Love his stuff. Luke Combs. I like techno. So yeah, I like a fair bit of stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was a big fan of like Korn, Rob Zombie back in the day. Like I saw Rage Against the Machine in 2009, probably one of the craziest concerts I've ever been to.
Yeah.
You know, I love the heavy stuff, but I worked for Universal Records for a year and they were like, oh, you have to listen to this rock and this hip hop in this country, right? So I kind of expanded my, music taste there. But man, Ben, this was such a great conversation. I loved having you on the show and having another chat with you, man. You're an absolute world changer. I love what you got going on. People need to join your challenge and they need to be following you, man. So thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Erik. I appreciate you, brother. This has been awesome.
Thank you so much for checking out the show today. I really appreciate it. I hope that my guest was able to bring you some amazing wisdom and knowledge to help you continue to fight for your goals, your dreams, and your purpose. If you could do me one big favor and just hit that subscribe button, I would so appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Keep changing the world. I believe in you. Have an amazing day.